Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're going to look at how we can start the engines of the Bell 407 helicopter, which is part of the 40th anniversary update from Flight Simulator 2020. So let's go inside the helicopter, right? We don't need to do a review because there are several reviews already. I'd say the helicopter looks, I would say, pretty impressive. You can see a lot of details, right? So I'm not going to go into this. Let's go inside the helicopter and then let's see if we can get it up in the air. So before we start, right, let's do a quick tour in the cockpit. So the cockpit, right here we see the throttle and I would say several other buttons. Not all the buttons are, I would say, animated or working. And then we've got the intercom disengaged or started disengaged, landing lights and the taxi lights. And here we've got the crew volume, although it's, I would say, it looks like that it's pointing to these buttons here below and not really to the buttons here on this instrument. Then if we go here, we've got the defrost, which is off, and we've got the collective tightness, which is shown here. On the left side, right, so where the autopilot sits, there's same panels over here. Then we see a joystick. To be honest, the joystick is only there for, I would say, it will move, right, as you can see, but there's not really anything which you can push as far as I figured out. So this is a little bit of pity. Then in front of us we've got the panel, and the panel has a lot of options, right? So the panel, first of all, has all the lights and indicators which will tell us, hey, what's going on with this helicopter? Is it in good shape? Is it in bad shape? Etc. Then we've got the float test, which is set to off, and we've got the caution and warning lights, which is, I would say, simply a button to make sure that all the lights are illuminating. Is over here, and then of course the fire detector test is also switched to off. We will probably use them somewhere in this checklist, but that's for later on. Then we've got, I would say, a multi-instrument here where we can, I would say, switch to volts, but also make sure that we use it as a chronometer, right? So we can switch it to clock mode or to chronometer mode, so you can use it for VFR navigation. Then we've got the torque, right? The torque times 10, so make sure that you're not in the red, yellow and red zone too much. Here we've got the airspeed, the virtual horizon, and then we've got the altimeter over here. Hidden behind these panels, or behind this panel, is, I would say, the LCD display test, which you can do, the instrument test off, and the horn mute on, and you can also, of course, unmute the horn. Inside the instruments or the gauges, you can, I would say, adjust the attitude in this case of the aircraft, but also the pressure, right? It's currently set to 29.92. Then here we've got the few psi and amps, right? The I would say the few pressure and the electricity. MGT, that's the temperature itself, right? So keep an eye on that. Then over here we've got the NP, which also is, I would say, I think it's the same as the airspeed, to be honest. And it also shows the RPMs, right? Here we've got a navigation instrument where we can set the HSI course, but also set the HSI heading, right? You can move it around. As you can see, if we move it around, it will move this nice red arrow. And we can also move the HSI itself, which is the yellow arrow in this case. Here we can see the climb rate, right, up, down, and the feet per minute, which are going up and down. So if this one increases, you will see that this one will decrease, and will point you, okay, hey, what's the climb rate and how many feet per minute are you, let's say, increasing or decreasing your altitude. Then moving to this section, here we've got the banking, right? Here we can see the banking, and here we've got the compass mode and the correction mode, which we can use. It's only for the primary compass. Moving down, we see the emergency locator, which is off, and the few valve cover, right, to say open the valves or close the valves in this case, is over here. And then there's another instrument here for the ADF, as you can see, and right from it is the VOR. So this one can be used for VOR beacons, this one for ADF beacons. Moving further to the left, we've got the engine oil and pressure. The engine oil pressure, sorry, and the temperature, and the XM SN pressure and temperature. Over here we've got the fuel quantity, also really important, and the NG RPM, right? So you can see we've got multiple RPMs and also multiple temperature and oil checks. And over here we've got the fuel quantity for both. I'm not sure what this button what it does, but let's see how it works. And we've got the horn test, which is set to off, as well as the overspeed test, which has been set to off, and the FADEC mode is set to auto. A lot of buttons, right? I would say that's already impressive. If we look at the right side, we still have the old compass, right, which we can use in case our instruments are dying. Then I would say top left, right, from the pilot, you can see the limitations of the aircraft, also the airspeed. So keep this in mind. And then we've got a lot of buttons here and fuses. Mainly a lot of fuses, right? We can see some of the buttons here. Some of them might be hidden far away, and in this case this one is an in-up, right? So it's not operational, but keep that in mind. A little bit further down there is a button which works, and that's this one. That's the pedal stop off, right? So you can switch the pedal stop to stop or to pedal. And then we've got different other buttons which we'll go to, I would say, in a few minutes. Mainly they have to do with the, with the avionics master, right? So the flight system itself, but also several other buttons which we'll pay attention to, like the lights. Here we've got the air conditioning information. Over here we've got some more lights. We've got some battery, the heaters, of course, the brightness, the cabin lights. So we will go to them in a few minutes. So where can you find the checklist? Well, over here you have the checklist. And you can see that it's, I would say, built up in, multiple steps. The thing which is, I would say, a little bit different compared to the normal aircrafts is that it doesn't illuminate, right? So for some reason, there's no illumination of, okay, hey, this, I would say, instrument should be used, which sometimes makes it harder to figure out which button you need to use. So first of all, let's make sure that the throttle is closed. Well, that's the case because the throttle is idle. So let's tick the item. Landing light switch. If you will push it, you won't go anywhere because the landing light switch is over here, right? Here you can switch them to on or off. So marking it as checked. Then we've got the battery switch. The battery switch can be found here. Oh, it's also set to off, so we're gonna check it, as well as the generator switch. And generator switch is also here, so we're gonna mark it. Then we've got the anti-collision lights, which is over here. So third from the I would say, button from the last row. So we're gonna mark it, and we're gonna say, okay, hey, the hydraulic system switch. Well, that will be, I would say, let's see, can we find it? Is it here? Yes, it's here. But where is it? That's the next question, right? So. And that's what I mean, right? If I'd say sometimes it's a little bit, say, searching where you can find the buttons, but overall you can find them eventually. So let's go to them. Warning lights, no, that's definitely not it. So we've got the hydraulic switch. Where is it? Is it here? No, it's not here. Well, let's leave it in that case for now. Then we've got the cabin light, the passenger switch, and then the cabin lights, right? All the lights are, I would say, kind of here, right? So that's set to pass, which is good. And we've got the position light, which is switched to off, which is the case. Then the defog light, which is next to it, also switched to off. Now I need to make sure that I tick the boxes right. And the pitot heater also switched to off, so that's good. Continuing with the engine anti-ice switch, ice switch, that's something I also tried to figure out where it is, and it's relatively easy because it's over here, right? So it might take you a little bit longer to, I would say, find the buttons, but in most cases it will work. The master switch has been switched to on, but needs to be switched to off, as well as the heater switches. The heater, I think they're referring to the pitot heater, that's one is switched off, but I'm not sure which other heaters they're referring to be honest. And I tried to push this button several times, but then again, right, it doesn't, let's say, point me to something, and after some time I figured out that it was here, right? It's over here. Then we've got the instrument lights, and the instrument lights, probably we need to search somewhere in this area, right? So let's see if we can find it. It's a knob, and that's here, right? Because it says instrument lights. So this is the density of the light on the display. Then we've got the rotor to brake leveler. To be honest, I tried finding it, and I tried hard and again and again and again. To be honest, I really can't find it. So if you did find it, then let me know. First thought it was somewhere here, but it's not somewhere here, so I'm not sure where it is. This is also not the collective tightness. I looked at the right side, also not here. So I really can't find it. So if you figured out where it is, let me know, because it must be somewhere. It also has a reason, right? Because what you will see if you would go outside now is that the, I would say, rotor starts, I would say, routing a bit, and it should not be, right? It should be, let's say, it should remain still, although it says here switch to off, which makes sense, right? Because in that case, it should, I would say, make turns. So marking it, let's go to the pre-start. So battery switch to on, right? So the battery switch can be found in this button. And as soon as you switch it on, you will see some things are happening, right? The panel, I would say, is booting, and you can see that, I would say, a lot of things are now illuminating. Then we're gonna check the LCD instruments. The LCD instruments, right, over here, right, you can see a lot of buttons over here, and you can press that LCD test to make sure that the LCDs are really working, right? So here you can see they're now showing a value, which is good. The same thing can be done for the instrument test, right? That really tests if the gauges are working. And as you can see, the one in the center now rotates. So that's also fine. And the rest of them, we really don't need to test them as we speak. Then the torque and NG. The torque and NG is over here, right? So it's checked, no action required. And we need to check the few. Well, few is enough. And also make sure that you check the MGT, which is over here. Unfortunately, there are no real values where it says, hey, you need to make sure that it's this. Here it says engine gas temperature and fuel quantity digit display 81888. I think it will only do that if you hit this button. So I think that's what they're referring to, right? Only they didn't make that, I would say, text appear. So you need to do this. So sometimes when you don't know what to do, then read the text over here, because there's sometimes some more details. And that, well, it works, right? So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the NRMP, right? NRMP, what does it need to be? Rotor and power turbine moves to maximum. So let's do that. Well, that's correct, right? Because that's the button we just used, or we already used, so that's good. Warning lights check. The warning lights check, as you can imagine, is also really important to do, because that will make sure that the warning lights are working. So you can press it, and then you see all the lights are illuminating. If you leave it off, then only the lights which are currently active are being marked, right? So after 3 seconds, engine out, etc. will be illuminated. Well, that was correct. Caution lights. Caution lights, that's also another thing, right? And they need to be illuminated because it's expected. And those are the lights also shown like here, right? There's no other light position. Then we've got the left and right view exfer lights out if forward tank is empty, right? Right view exfer, right? It's illuminating currently. And it's only out if the forward tank is empty, which is not the case. Cyclic centering light. Cyclic centering light, where do we see it? Do we see it somewhere? I don't see it, to be honest. Is it here? No. So challenge. Because I was thinking that it should be somewhere here, but to be honest, I don't see it. And I was really expecting it to be somewhere over there, but it's not. So let's mark this checked. Then the boost exfer left and right switch are on. I marked it already as complete, but it's not completed. So the boost switches are over here, right? So the boost pump left is already on, and the boost pump right is not on, but I will switch them on. And that will, I would say, result in that the lights over here will change, because in this case, before we, I would say, switch them on, there were some more lights burning here, but they now should be off. As well as the exfer, right? Remember, it was burning somewhere here, but that's also been switched off. So the fuel pressure is normal, right? So the fuel pressure, where can you find it? Well, you can find it over here, right? So you can see the fuel pressure over here, and there's another one. Sorry, this oil pressure, this is the fuel pressure. It's a little bit hard to see with all those, let's say, illuminated lights. And you can also see that they're a little bit oversteering, right? So how can we fix that? Well, we can fix it by, let's say, switching this one down to a lower level. So we'll set it to 50 now. You can see that it's a little bit more, let's say, more illuminated. So this is good, right? It's in this angle, so we don't need to do something about that. Then we're gonna press the CWLT test. Gonna do it again. Works. And then the instrument check, which was this one. I'm not sure why it's on this list and here, to be honest. Then we've got the LCD test. Works. Then the FADEC horn test. And the FADEC horn test, there are two horn tests. This one, which doesn't result in anything, but there's also one here. And I do think it's this one, because here it says, okay, hey, this is the FADEC one, right? And you can hear it, right? So that works. Then we're going to go to the FADEC mode. The FADEC mode can be set here. It needs to be set to auto, which is the case, right? So if you switch it on, it's manual. If it's not illuminating, it's auto. And then we have the fuel valve switch, which is over here. That one needs to be switched to on, which is the case. Don't do this, or do this, sorry, because that will prevent you from, I'd say, switching off the fuel. So we secure the door, and we still check the fuel quantity. Fuel quantity is still there. Good. OET, then volt. Check OET, then volt. Select the volt display on the chrono, and the chrono is here, right? So we can press it. Then you will see it change to a different, let's say, thing, right? It switched to the outside temperature, and here it switches to the volt, which is good. So we've done all the things for getting the engine started, or at least we forgot to mark one of those items. Of course, the battery switch. Now it's ready to, let's say, do the collective, right? So the collective, it says, okay, full down. That's the leveler, which needs to be there. So full down, so be aware of that. Then the pedals, right, are centered, which is the case, and the cyclic centering light is off. Well, the centric light, you will find it here if it's illuminated, but as you can see, it's not illuminated, so that's good. Then throttle is idle, and how can you figure it out? Well, not, I would say, by this, right? So if it's 100%, it's like this. If it's 0, then it's, say, pushed down completely, which is also the case. Let me mark those items as completed. And then we're going to go to the start switch, right? So we're going to start the engine, which is here. At least I hope it was there. Yes, you can see you only need to push it very short, because it will, I'd say, go to start mode really fast. You can also see that start is now illuminated here. And you can see that the RPMs are increasing, right? So it goes steadily. It does not go really fast, but it will work. So monitor the MGT, which is over here. And then start the light at one point, and the auto relight should be off, which is the case. Then we've got the engine XMSN and oil pressure, which are, here is the XMSN. And here we've got the fuel and oil pressure. Here we've got the fuel, oil pressure, so we monitor them and make sure they're stable, right, at one point. And also keep an eye on the NG. And then once everything is done, we can switch on the generator. And the generator is already on, so we don't need to do anything. So then the generator fuel flight will be off. And we can check the voltmeter, right? The voltmeter can be found here. This is the voltmeter. Once everything is good, we can go back to the top. Go to the avionics master switch, which we need to switch to on, as well as the ATT gyro. which we need to switch on. And the TB switch, which is this one, also needs to be switched to on. And then you're ready for takeoff, right? There are a few things which you need to do before you can go, of course. Checking the lights or switching them on. Make sure that the radios are tuned in, and then make sure that you push the throttle, and then you can go airborne. But that's for another video. In this video we looked at how to start this nice helicopter, right? It's the Bell helicopter, which was introduced as part of Flight Simulator, the 40th anniversary edition. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.